Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, and welcome back to Joe on Joe. This is your host, Joe Slepsky, where every week we watch an episode of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, and comment on it Mystery Science style. And you are back this week for part 3 of Arise, Serpentor, Rise. That's right, one of the biggest crossovers to ever hit the G.I. Joe world. We had the arrival of Serpentor. We had the arrival of New Dreadnoks. We had the arrival of Sergeant Slaughter. And this week, we have the arrival of a new guest to Joe on Joe, a friend who's never yet graced the audio landscape that is your ears. But she will today. She is Miss Amber Bansak. Amber, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my gosh. It's our pleasure entirely. You are part now of... first of all, an elite fighting force of Joe and Joe guest members. But more so, you're part of the Serpentor family, and everyone loves the Serpentor. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
There have been a lot of words coming out of your mouth, and I don't understand most of them. So I think we're off to a great start.
And that's why I do the show. I'm bringing G.I. Joe to heart. I'm winning over hearts and minds, one person at a time. Amber, you are an editor out here in the TV world. You work on a fabulous show called Transparent.
Yes, I just fortunately got the opportunity to help finish up this most recent season. So I just started a few weeks ago, and I'm pretty excited about working on the show as a fan.
And that's season 3 or season 2?
4.
Oh, see, they're on season 4
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Wow, that's cool. It's an amazing show for a lot of reasons.
For sure.
Just super talented everybody. Then socially, it tackles all kinds of really great social, doesn't tackle them. It kind of just lays them out.
Yeah, because it's a lot of complicated stuff that doesn't have an easy, answer, but it just sort of brings those conversations forward where, everyone kind of has to live in that.
Yeah,
I think confusing space.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It brings the conversations forward. It's not. If you're unfamiliar with the show, Jeffrey Tambor, who is in his late 60s or maybe even early 70s, he at a late stage in life, he comes out as transgender to his family, and on surface, you think that's what the show's about, but then you watch it and you realize that it's about the kids and their hang-ups and their foibles and their adventures. Not even hang-ups and foibles, but they're them finding their way through life, and they're adults. They're adult, call them kids, but they're adult children.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's really like everyone. I think everyone on the show, you kind of just get to see them struggling with their own issues, and in that way, it really is this kind of, very therapeutic.
It is, and the transparent part of it is, the flashy, I guess, focal selling point of it, the thing that gets people to notice it. But when you watch it, you just go, oh, wow, it's about so much more.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I feel like I don't know if I felt there's something kind of homey feeling for me as a Jewish woman to see this Jewish
family, right?
Yeah,
right.
That there's something. I've talked to my mom about this too, where it's strange, where even though it's not quite your family, but I feel like for a lot of people, it feels very like familial, and there's something sort of comforting, even though they're definitely a wild family with a lot of issues.
And it's super funny. It's super funny.
Yeah.
And a show like that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of shows that tackle a lot of heavy issues, but a show like that, you think, oh, it could get a little into the preachy territory or the whatever. But like, no, nobody's perfect on that show. Totally. Everyone's got foibles, and they laugh at all the foibles, and they point them all out. And I've not kept so I wasn't aware that they were in the 4th season, but I think we saw the first 2 seasons.
Yeah,
and just loved it.
Yeah,
just really loved it.
It's a great show. It's been a real honor to be able to be a part of it.
It's important, and it's Jill Soloway, right? She's the showrunner.
Yeah, and then it's really nice. It's a lot of women. It's a lot of queers. Like it's so interesting coming from, I've worked on a lot of big network shows, and it's the first time that I've had that kind of environment where like the other day we're all working on an episode and I'm working with my editor, and one of the executive producers and a supervising director, and like we're all queer women working on an episode. And I'm just like, it's so often that you're like, well, I'm the only woman on this show, that it's just really refreshing to be in a very different space.
That's really cool. That's good. That's I love that. I love that. And so you're pretty unfamiliar with G.I. Joe, but one of the things we talk about with G.I. Joe, and I like to talk about, I like to point out, is it's like cartoon aimed at boys set in the 80s, but 100% without a doubt, Joe is a progressive show. Like it is, the first character to speak in the entire run. I think she. Now Duke might have the first line of dialogue, but the first character you see do anything is a woman, is Scarlet.
Okay.
Like she's flying this jet and she buzzes the tower. And I think the first lines was Duke saying like, "Get out of there, pilot." But then the next character you see is Scarlet giving him sass back and being like, "Hey, burr burr burr." I'm, like, and it's from there that they represented women equally throughout. People of color, they never really got into the gender stuff, and I think that's understandable.
Yeah.
But they've always been very progressive with making sure that they include people, and the writers have spoken on that too in the past.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, how much of that we're going to get in a show about combining DNA to create the ultimate Cobra leader, I don't know that it's going to be very representative today.
Yeah.
But over the course of the show, it's been a really cool. It's been a cool thing for me as an adult, with an adult lens, to go back and watch and see all that stuff and see, oh yeah, they're doing this or they're doing that, and that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you are from Massachusetts.
Yes.
A little town called
Wales.
Wales.
Yeah,
where is that?
Even if you're from Massachusetts, like
really,
most people don't know. Yeah. It's basically, it's close to like Palmer. It's like 40 minutes outside of Worcester.
Worcester. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's heard of Palmer, but Worcester. Yeah.
I think if you're from Massachusetts, you probably know Palmer, but.
Okay. Well, what brought you to California? What got you out of Wales?
Well, my dad taught cinema at our high school. We had a really cool high school I didn't appreciate till I started talking to other people and like moved out. Where I was like, oh, there was like cinema. My dad taught like literature, the fantastic, which is like fantasy and sci-fi, and like there was just not there wasn't that kind of stuff. So my dad was definitely very supportive. We were like raised on old movies and just like watched a lot of stuff, and there was sort of credence to editing that I think made me feel like I could say I want to be an editor.
Really? So at a young age,
so
you want to be an editor?
Yeah, I mean, I started. There was like a media and TV production class at my high school that I took, and I like put it. And it just, once we got to the editing phase, I was kind of like hogging the system and like, just let me. Yeah. It was like a group project, and I just really kind of took the reins and putting stuff together. And when like the picture and the music and everything came together, I got this feeling that I was like, I want.
That's great.
This.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That you zeroed in on a very specific subset of the industry. You know what I mean? At such an early age. Usually, I think people are like, oh, I wanted to make films, and they go to film school or they go to whatever, start to end, which is great because you wanted, so then so I wasn't going to direct, and so I decided to do this, but and then, but you're like, I wanted to edit. I wanted to. Which is great because you wanted to take pieces of stories and create your own narrative with it.
Yeah.
Is what that tells me.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I still, I always feel like I could have, well, it's the journey, I guess, but I always feel like I knew at such a young age that I should be like further along in my path or something.
Oh, wow. Well, you're young. You're young still. You've got a path. How long have you been in California?
Well, okay, so I moved out here right after college when I graduated in like 2003. But then I moved away for a handful of years, basically. Love steered me away, and I moved.
Boy, I'll tell you,
surprise.
That has been the downfall of many a talent. For sure.
I took a long detour, and I actually lived in Vegas for about 7 years.
Did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Vegas. I love that town.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could live in that town because I love that town.
It's a lot. Like, it's definitely, and I think it's sort of, I fell in with a lot of natives who just like were more just like, dive bars and good restaurants and rock shows.
So, yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
it was just not like it was the kind of thing like you only go to Venice Beach when like your family comes to town.
Yeah,
It's
you're
that
right.
sort of like you
Yeah.
only go to the Strip when your family's around.
Where did you work while you were in Vegas? Like, did you work? Because my understanding is like everyone works at a casino or something. you
Yeah,
know?
well, there's sort of a mix. I did some different stuff. I was like assistant manager of like a gallery in Caesars in the Forum Shops for a little while.
Yeah, I know that area.
Yeah,
That's fun.
Totally.
Well, we're going to talk G.I. Joe today. We're going to get into that a little bit. So, you're not familiar with anything. You're coming in part 3. You're a little bit of an experiment. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. Because this is a 5-parter, and all the other 5-parters I did on my own.
Oh, okay.
Because I was figuring out how the podcast was gonna work.
Yeah,
and then the other part was like I didn't want to have to get one person to commit to all 5 parts. That's a lot of work for them. And so I was like, all right, this time I'm gonna get 4 of my friends together who all know each other, do them separately, and then we're gonna come together for the 5th.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
You're
Surprise!
You're
That's awesome.
committed. And next weekend we got to get together at my place. So
Okay, great.
or the next couple weeks. Yeah. So so that's what this is. So hopefully we can get you caught up pretty good. I think
right.
you'll get the gist because they do a nice recap in the front.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Now, if anyone out there is listening and you want to find Amber, you can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Amber the Bamber. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
BAMBER. And you could also find me at Joe on Joe Pod, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Send me an email to joeandjoepod@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on there. And if you're out there on any kind of platform that has a review system, leave me a review. Tell me, like me on Facebook and all that stuff. Because the more exposure in all those realms, the bigger the show can get, and we can grow and keep on moving. One thing I forgot to talk to you about, or I wanted to talk to you about, is you rap.
Oh, yeah. Well, I made a rap album of EP a few years ago.
Love it.
Yeah.
And your rap name is Clamber Bansak?
Clamber Standback.
Clamber Standback. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find me on Bandcamp too.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So go to Bandcamp so what would they search under?
So I mean, if you search for Clamber Standback, it's just Clamber Standback. Yeah,
That's
pretty,
great. That's
pretty straightforward. And yeah, then you'll just find it's like a 4-song EP. There's a rap about my love for Joss Whedon.
Oh my gosh, would you mind if I pull that off Bandcamp and threw it on the end of this
That'd be
episode?
great. No, I
All right,
love
we're
it.
gonna do that. So listen to the end of the episode, everybody. I'm gonna tag it I'll take it on the end of the edit. So I haven't heard it right now, but I've seen video of you performing. That's how I know. And I think
Awesome.
I think I always call you Amber Clamsicle.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because
All right.
of
I'll take it.
Clamber. I think if you've ever heard me because we know each other from the store and then we just become friends and Clamback or yeah. I've always I don't know if you've ever noticed I've always called you some form of Clamback.
Yeah.
Because of your rap your hardcore rap days.
Illustrious rap career.
I love it though. Is that something you're still going to pursue?
I mean, it just hasn't really been. It was something that was really fun to do. Basically, when I was working towards, I was like assistant editing in reality, and I didn't have that much of a creative outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a fun project that I did with my friend Joe Minadeo, who did all the music.
Shout out Joe.
Yeah. So I mean, I couldn't have done it without him, but it was really fun, putting stuff together. And then I just found that the more creative my actual work got, the less time I've had to have any kind of like musical fun in the background.
But also the more fulfilling because either way it scratches your itch. So when you're working in the mind-numbing reality stuff, you're a creative person.
For sure.
You've got to get that out.
Yeah.
And so then when you're able to get that out in your profession, then it's not as much of an itch to scratch.
Yeah, definitely.
It's one of the things that led me to do this pod is, like work is great and I love it and all that, but there's a creative part of me that needs to be expressed. And so
for sure,
you find outlets to do that. So that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I look forward to listening to it.
Awesome.
You'll have to tell me later, mystery track of what we're going to listen to. Okay?
Cool.
Awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Go to Bandcamp, Clamber
Standback.
Standback. Clamber Standback. Go to Bandcamp and listen to Clamber Bands. That is a mouthful. Bandcamp Clamber Standback.
Yeah, I know. It's
That's a
together.
lot. I love it. No, that's great. Listen, you're gonna remember it. And we're gonna get into Arise, Serpentor, Arise, episode 3. So here we go.
Yo, Joe!
I just love seeing the vehicles in action. Is what I love, Amber. I love it. I love like all this stuff like that.
I like
even
the lightning.
Yeah, right. It looks good, doesn't it? It looks
It's really
good.
like so much action.
Yeah, like
lasers, lightning.
oh yeah. I mean, everything about this is awesome. And almost everything in it was a toy that you could buy. Even those there were little like encampments.
Oh yeah,
You could buy those.
that's awesome.
That was a toy. It was a little blue plastic bunker that came in 3 pieces, and you put them together, so it was like a rounded bunker and it had machine guns. But then the top, if it got attacked, it would crumble apart.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so like Cobra's bunker got attacked. That's in the opening of this. Like it's just so much fun if you're a kid.
Yeah,
so let's listen into
In our last
recap.
episode, dissatisfied with Cobra Commander's leadership, Dr. Mindbender plotted to replace him with a Cobra Emperor cloned from the DNA of long-dead conquerors. Through treachery, Cobra overcame the Joes, thus securing the DNA of Napoleon, the Aztec monarch Montezuma, and Egyptian general Amon Thoth for Dr. Mindbender's formula. Meanwhile, in frigid Siberia, Cobra forces threatened to overrun the Joes guarding the tomb of Ivan the Terrible. And in Transylvania, the wily Baroness stole the DNA of Vlad Tepes and brought his castle down on Beachhead and Mainframe to cover her escape. And now, today's chapter of Arise, Serpentor, Arise.
I mean, listen, they're stealing DNA. Look at Dracula's castle.
I know, Transylvania.
First of all,
What's
that's
happening?
Dracula's castle. First, we've confirmed last episode with Stephanie, we confirmed there is a Dracula in the G.I. Joe universe.
Which is fantastic news.
Right?
Dracula, I know. G.I. Joe,
Yeah.
not so much.
Good news for vampires everywhere. There's a Dracula in the G.I. Joe universe. It's so good.
Is Dracula susceptible to lasers?
Well, he better be. You know what? It's light, right? I don't know if it's considered sunlight, but it's light. So these guys, they were in Transylvania. These guys are actually in, even though it looks similar climate where it's snowing, they're in Russia. Because they're going after one of the czars, like one of the one of the great Russian czars. I forget, escaping my head right now. These bats, they're robots.
Okay.
Those are snow serpents.
Yetis.
Yeah, those are Cobra Yetis. Okay, that's a well-preserved body. That guy's been dead.
Russia,
Wait a minute.
It's cold, so.
You think that's it? Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the rationale. Well, it's funny. Last episode. Oh, that's cool. It's a fire bat. That's a cool toy.
Nice.
In the last episode, they went out of their way to not show the dead body that they were putting the little DNA collector on.
Oh,
They showed a mummy, but that was all wrapped up.
Right,
and then
right.
when they got to Napoleon, who would be a dead body, they didn't show it. Like the camera cut away. But this one, maybe it's cold.
They're like,
He's
real cold.
He's cool.
Who knows how long?
But once again, Cobra wins again.
I'll rendezvous with you at Sun Tzu's burial mound.
Now they're heading to Sun Tzu's burial mound. Sun Tzu, the art of war.
Okay.
There he is, Sergeant Slaughter. Straight from the WWF and right in your heart.
Yikes. I'm not sure about that. What is he saying?
He growls. Hey, General.
I always thought Sergeant Slaughter was a bad guy because Sergeant Slaughter just sounds.
It does sound, you're right. It does sound bad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If there's one thing I hate, it's waiting.
If there's one thing I can't stand about waiting, it's listening.
And he was
to
good
you
guy,
complain
like in the
about it.
WWF. Like he was a,
Yeah.
During the first Gulf War, the storyline for WWF, which is we all know is not real, but like the storyline was that he turned bad and he teamed up with the Iron Sheik.
Okay.
He was shilling G.I. Joe toys at the time.
It's complicated.
So they were like, okay, we're done with you, Sergeant Slaughter. We don't need you to be our spokesman anymore.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So he did ultimately
It
get
was
turned to the dark
awkward because
side.
I think he teamed up with them before we went to war. As I think the timeline. I don't think they did it knowing that we were going to start the first Gulf War. And he just happened to be a bad guy during that time. So it was like, that's a bad look. It's a bad look, Sarge. Maybe you shouldn't be hanging out with the Iron Sheik while real soldiers are getting shot up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totes. All right, and now we're jet skiing.
Jet skiing with a
Bikini
couple
babes.
of honeys. Hey.
Woo.
What's up, ladies? See, I told you this show's got everybody. Something for everybody. Well, this is cool. Shipwreck just referred to those bikini laden. What are they? They're water jet skiers, skiers as decoys.
Decoys. Oh no.
He thinks Cobra employed them to distract him while they snuck up on him.
Are they just random? Were they just some random beauties?
I think they were random beauties. I do think Shipwreck is putting way too much pressure on those ladies to be part of a terrorist organization. They seem
like
pretty
a
chill to
lot.
me, especially because they're in
Yeah.
like an open public vacation spot. That's Leatherneck. He's a
Okay.
Marine.
This guy's got a parrot.
Well, he's a pirate. He went through the Navy, but he's a pirate.
Okay.
But he's a Marine, and the other guy is Wetsuit, who's a Navy SEAL. And they play up this bickering relationship like Oscar and Felix, like the odd couple.
okay.
And it's fantastic. It's so charming. And they're new. They were just introduced a couple episodes ago. It's so charming because it's that whole like our Army's better than the Navy, better than the Marines, better than that whole rivalry. With these two, it's just it's lovely to see.
Adorbs.
It's just adorable. It really is. Adorbs.
Guys, a trio of sea snakes are swimming its way.
Mark that. The first time Adorbs was ever used on Joe.
Yes.
Yes. Also, Destro is swimming underwater without a full face mask, so his mask must be rust proof.
I mean, what is it made of? What kind of is that like a future metal?
I think it's made
or?
of. I think the actual answer is it's called molybdenum steel or something like that. Which I don't know if that's a real thing, but I think in the show that's what they said it's made out of.
Molybdenum.
It's kind of like saying
clearly,
adamantium.
Yeah,
like a made up metal.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's real or not, and I don't want to look it up because I don't want to know. I want to let it be a mystery. So we're going in a commercial with the Joe's and Underwater Peril.
After these messages.
Today's Filecard Feature is on the Cobra Trainer, codenamed Big Boa. His file name is unknown. Cobra troopers can be an unruly bunch at times. They aren't motivated by patriotism, unit loyalty, honor, or sense of duty. It takes a brutal, unfeeling taskmaster to whip them into fighting trim, and Big Boa fits the bill to a T. He has a voice like a bullhorn, fists the size of frozen turkeys, and the disposition of a rabid grizzly bear. Quote, Big Boa kicks open the Cobra barracks door at 0500 and makes everyone do the low crawl up the mountain while pushing a bowling ball with their noses. Then it's a 20-mile run through the bramble thickets, more push-ups than you want to know about, and a 2-mile swim upstream with a flak jacket and helmet. After breakfast, he starts on the hard stuff. Big Boa once said, "Bring me the toughest contender G.I. Joe has to offer, and I'll show them what real fighting is." Now, Big Boa is a little bit ridiculous, but he's got an insanely awesome backstory, and that's why Big Boa is cool. As a figure, he looks kind of silly. He's bare-chested. He's got the boxing glove on his hands. You know what's funnily enough? He actually, you know what he looks like? He looks like the dude. Oh my gosh. He looks like the dude that Duke fought in the pit in one of the early miniseries. The guy with the crossed leather bandoliers across his chest, except he's wearing a full face mask so you don't see him. Now, the cool thing, a backstory about Big Boa, is he originally was supposed to be a nemesis to Rocky Sylvester Stallone Balboa. Absolutely true. Rocky was supposed to become a part of the G.I. Joe team, and so they made Big Boa, and they were getting ready to launch, and then Rocky dropped out. So then there were some licensing issues. They weren't able to make Rocky a G.I. Joe character, but they still kept Big Boa in the mix. So that's exciting. I like to think that in this alternate universe, maybe this is Rocky, and that's why he wears the mask, because he's ashamed. He's ashamed that he sold his country out to work for Cobra. So, Big Boa, Cobra Trainer, file name unknown, or are you Rocky Balboa? We salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Fire on water is always freaky to me.
I mean, how does that even happen?
Well, there's oil.
Yeah.
It's the oil's on fire, but it still is always freaky to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I feel like that's not. I guess you do. I'm like, do you see that often in live action movies? I feel like I could do with seeing more fire on water.
Yeah. I could see it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree. Fire more. Also,
Dear Hollywood.
yeah, dear Hollywood. I want people to use torches underwater more. I love seeing people using torches underwater.
Does that work as
Oh
well?
yeah, like underwater
love
welding and
it.
stuff. It looks
Oh,
so cool
right,
with all the
of course.
bubbles and the
Which I only know from Underwater Welder.
right.
A fine comic book that
Yeah,
everyone
that's
should check
Lemire,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I love
'cause
seeing
that's so
people
cool.
weld stuff underwater.
The clash of fire and water.
Yeah, it's just visually. It's like you're getting a ton of money you're getting atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like free atmosphere just out of like the bubbles and the movement. And, yeah.
Totally.
Sergeant Slaughter is getting pursued on his way to Sun Tzu's temple.
Put out his fire.
And his tank, which is, I can't remember what his tank is called, but that was the toy that you got with him.
Okay.
It is on fire, and he is...
Who was the regal Cobra? Put down those bombs. Who was that guy?
Was it? Oh, it was one of those
With the
two
hair.
dudes? Oh yeah, that's those are the Crimson Twins. Those are Tomax and Zaymon.
Oh, okay.
And they are twins. They're Corsican twins. They're Italian. They're supposed to represent the mafia.
Okay.
But in this world, right? And of course, true to life as twins,
Yeah.
they can feel each other's pain and finish each other's sentences.
Oh, nice.
'Cause that's a thing.
Nice.
You know,
All right.
I mean,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I've always been fascinated.
You've met twins before.
I've always been fascinated by the twin connection.
Yeah, because they do feel each other's pain.
Yeah. And
it's a real thing.
For sure.
For fact. Listen, if I'm not going to look up the Molly Benedium Steel, I'm not going to research twin ESP either. It's just not a thing.
No,
Not a
it's
thing
for
that's going to
realsies.
happen. So Sergeant Slaughter you almost was counted out, but he caught up to him. Mindbender is
Tight
drilling
pants.
down into the tomb.
Okay.
And it's important because they're spending a lot of time on this one particular one. So all the other, they've already gotten, Cobra's been whipping G.I. Joe's butt.
Yeah.
They've already gotten like 5 or 6 different DNAs. Like
Yeah.
G.I. Joe's on
So
the
at this
losing
point,
end.
they're just like hoping to get a couple of the
They
conquerors off the list.
Yeah, they need a couple. Yeah, they need a couple. Deal closers.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You're a comic fan. It's a lot like Captain Marvel, Shazam.
Oh, okay.
You remember? You know how? Do you know Billy
I've
Batson?
only read a tiny bit. I've read like one volume of Captain Marvel.
Shazam, when he says Shazam and he turns into Captain Marvel, Billy Batson turns into Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The name Shazam, years ago they said it stands for the strength of Hercules, the like each he gets strength from each of the gods. So it's like Hercules, Atlas,
Sergeant Slaughter.
Zeus, Athena, Mercury, speed of Mercury, and the first one would be what's S? One of the S gods.
Saturn? I don't
Something like that. But it's like he gets a different trait from each of these gods, from each of the Greek gods.
Yeah.
That's what Shazam actually stands for. And that's kind of what they're doing with Serpentor. So they want the military tactical genius of Sun Tzu. They want the remarkable height differential of Napoleon.
Is that who we're still down to? Is Sun Tzu?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
So that makes sense, being this sort of like pinnacle of like, at least if we can get Sun Tzu out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's important. It's important that they specifically want his tactical genius for what happens in this episode.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there he goes. He just dukes on Dr. Mindbender. By the way, what do you think of Dr. Mindbender? He is a.
I mean, why he's got a cape but no shirt? Is that what's happening?
Cape but no shirt.
He's got it's like an eye patch
monocle. It's a monocle, yeah.
But it's like straight because there's not, I guess there's not the gentlemanly hang down. It's just like a lens that's like pinched in there.
Do you want to guess what his former occupation was before he joined the terrorist organization known as Cobra? I'll give you a hint. He was a doctor.
No.
Mm-hmm. Doctor's not just a snappy title.
Creepy pediatrician.
Orthodontist.
What? That's better. That's better.
He was an orthodontist. Yes, he was.
What a dick.
Yo, General Hunk, Alpine thinks
This is important. They just had their first victory. They stopped them from stealing Sun Tzu's DNA, so they don't have someone with tactical genius. That's important.
Okay.
Beachhead and Mainframe are alive.
They got caught in a
from
coffin.
Dracula's. They were from Dracula's castle. It's Dracula's coffin. They got a Dracula, and they got they survived. Yeah. What cartoons were you into when you were a kid?
Let's see here. I don't know. Like, I feel like I didn't watch that many cartoons that I paid that much attention to. I sort of half watched cartoons and like played a lot, but it was like, I don't know. I liked like Snorks.
Yeah. The underwater Smurfs.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, Smurfs I watched. I liked Thundercats, but I never really knew what was going on. I just liked the way they looked.
Thundercats might be the best example of 100% that.
Yeah.
Like, you knew the story on He-Man. Like,
yeah.
you knew who was related to who
He-Man.
and what they were kind of after. G.I. Joe, you knew the narrative. Transformers, you knew the Thundercats was 100% a show that looked amazing, but I don't think most people who say they were fans would be able to tell you what was going on.
Yeah.
Where did the cats come from? Why were they on that planet? What the heck was Mum-Ra? What was Mum-Ra after?
Yeah.
What? None of it.
Like, no, it doesn't even. And I've heard from people that have tried rewatching now that it's like, yeah, it's not. It wasn't like your child brain was confused. It's like human brains are confused.
Yeah. Well, we're going into break with a big revelation.
After these messages.
Tired of the fanatical ravings of Cobra Commander and Serpentor, Destro goes it alone.
Destro's back on the attack. Out to conquer the world on his own.
Leading Destro's army is the anti-gravity pod, the AGP.
Who leads Cobra? With my demon and the Iron Grenadiers, neither Joe nor Cobra are a match for me. Yo! Nobody beats the Joe, the real American hero.
Can Destro's army destroy Joe and Cobra? Find out at Marvel Comics.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Dr. Mindbender just revealed his plan to replace the lost tactical genius of Sun Tzu. Guess who is going to take the place of Sun Tzu? Who is a tactical genius to rival the great Art of War author?
I don't know.
One Sergeant M. Slaughter, the M for manly.
What?
Yeah. Dr. Mindbender is somehow going to get Sergeant Slaughter's DNA and make him a part of Serpentor.
Snap.
What? See, look at this.
Oh my goodness. These are those test tubes?
Yeah, they're like they're cloning bays, you know what I mean? Like they're growing, they're what's the word? Not cultivating, culminating, curating. When you a colony of like colonizing, they're like they're growing the pieces of.
So like they're gonna grow the pieces and then put them together, where you're like Alexander the Great's arm.
Yeah, Genghis Khan's left toe.
You don't have Genghis Khan's
Just his left toe, like Genghis.
Because that's really all you need.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is. They're gonna because he had a dream early on of this giant DNA helix, and that's what formed his plan for this. And so he's going to take all their DNAs from these cloning bays and just mix them into one and then make this ultimate.
Okay.
Ultimate man.
So in their eyes, they're creating these helixes in the tubes, and then they're putting them all together.
Deoxyribonucleic acid, the chief building block of all life, gung-ho.
Okay, we just had Mutt. Okay, wait. Okay,
I think Mutt's my favorite character, by the way.
Mutt, do you know who Mutt is?
No, but I just enjoy him.
Yeah, Mutt's great. Yeah, he's the dog handler. He's Mutt. His dog's name is Junkyard.
Okay.
And he just described, he's a dog handler.
Yeah.
And he just described DNA
like you're going to create the world's first
to a Marine.
super soldier.
As if he has some kind of intellectual leap on Gung Ho. I think it speaks more to how dim bulb Gung Ho can be. That the dog handler's got to go, rhinonucleic acid, Gung Ho. Listen to me.
Obviously.
I can't even say it.
Yeah,
That's cool. Those are Night Ravens. So we're getting a big old attack. We did just have Doc give us for the viewer, gave a good rundown of what DNA is and RNA and all that stuff. We're getting a big old massive tank battle. No strategy. Just go run at each other.
Just like all the lasers.
all the lasers.
Who's this guy?
Oh, he's cross country.
Cross country?
Yeah, he's a new. Yeah, he's from like the
his
deep
look?
south. He's
All
got
right.
a like Confederate flag on him, which today, like, right, you see it on his belt.
Backtracking.
Yeah. Today wouldn't fly. I feel like at one point Roadblock should have been like, really?
I'm in Central Asia.
Really?
So
Yeah.
let's gobble
Really?
Just like
You really? You're really? That's your choice?
half an episode of just really.
Really? That's your choice? You're going to wear that in a battle? And Doc is standing behind him going, really? 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 Yeah. I think that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Frostbite shows up. Uh-huh.
This guy is coming with us?
This guy with the Confederate flag on his belt. Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, Yo Joe.
Surprise move. All right. Is this their
celebration, men.
final
Unless I
triumphant?
missed my
Well,
fist
not
pump?
final.
That was only round one.
Oh, only round
Yeah,
one.
see, Hawk thinks it's only round one. They just did a pan across all the celebrating Joes, and there was
Yeah.
just a dude in a T-shirt. I don't know who that was.
They're just like, it's like an extra. Like, come forward. We need more people.
Yeah. It was like an animator said placeholder for whatever figure they give to me, and they never got around to it. He's just
I don't know, a T-shirt or something? We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. He was a mail-away figure for the Joes. You could be the T-shirt guy. Send us $9.95, and we'll make a file card for you, and you'll be T-shirt guy.
Next will bring them calamity and us victory, and nothing you can say or do will stop it.
I just can't get past this guy. Does he have like a cod piece on?
Oh, yeah. He does have a cod. He does have a cod piece on. Look at
Like,
it's a
what
that's,
is
It's a straight
happening?
cod piece.
Yeah,
And then nothing straight about that
looks
cod
like,
piece.
No,
but
it's
that's-
nothing.
that's
There's
a
nothing straight
up
about that
cod
man.
piece.
Does he have suspenders as
He
well?
does, and the suspenders to cover his nipples, I think.
It's
I-
majestic.
I like the way he
Enemy
talks to
aircraft
Cobra
approaching,
Commander because he's like,
and
and you can do nothing about it.
It's like very. He should just reach up and twirl the mustache.
Yes,
But
it's so good. Meanwhile, remember, he just joined Cobra. Cobra Commander created Cobra.
yeah,
This guy just joined him. Is like, first of all, I fixed all your teeth.
first of all,
Secondly, I brought because he's responsible for bringing those robots, the battle android troopers.
Okay.
He brought that technology to him. So how an orthodontist creates an
like-
android trooper, I don't know.
he was like building robots in his garage as an orthodontist, and then he was
That's why
like,
I never-
finally.
That's why I never trusted a dentist or an orthodontist ever.
It's fair.
Never ever had a good relationship with one to this day.
It's a terrifying experience, and I'm happy to attribute that to him.
Yeah, totally. So the Joes thought they were knocking down Cobra's big old snake plane, but it turns out they were kind of playing coy. So it was really they were hovering, and what they're doing is they're going to kidnap Sergeant Slaughter.
Right.
They're trying to like make it look good. Is Mindbender just said. Now, how they knew that Slaughter would jump on this casket? This is Genghis Khan's casket, by the way.
Right.
I don't know.
Don't know it, but
That's
Yeah.
maybe cartoon cartoon logic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe it's cartoon logic 'cause they don't know each other that well. Where I'm like,
Yeah,
was
and
giving me. I don't know if you're caught up on Better Call Saul, but
yeah, not this season. Not this season. I was up through this
there's
season.
some just stuff where people know each other well enough to get
Okay.
some traps.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Yeah, because like, what if one of the other what if your favorite mutt had jumped on that? Like, what if it had been Mutt? They'd be like, we don't want the dog handler, although he does have a good grasp on DNA.
so maybe you
He might
do.
be of help.
Yeah. We can help you figure out what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter Cobra Commander is going to have him
Oh,
thrown
man.
from the airplane. So that's like a gravity break.
Tune in tomorrow
Listen
when
to
the Joes
this.
organize a dangerous mission into the Terradrome itself. Dr. Mindbender's mad dream of genetic engineering is thwarted by treachery within his own ranks. But undaunted, Dr. Mindbender pursues his goal of creating the ultimate Cobra Emperor. All in the next exciting episode of Arise, Serpentor, Arise.
I mean,
G.I.
So,
Joe will
wait a second.
return
So,
after
but
these messages.
they're threatening to throw him out of the plane? Is that what's happening?
Yeah,
I don't understand. Do they
so
get the DNA? They're
there's
like,
a
we
little-
got the DNA.
There's a little bit of politics going on.
Okay.
So Cobra Commander, the guy in blue
Yeah.
with the silver face mask, he's running the show. He doesn't want an emperor because
Yeah.
an emperor will ruin his flow.
Right. Okay.
So he thinks they're all going to fail, and they're going to fail, they're going to fail, they're going to fail. But now he sees, oh no, the final part of the equation is on this ship. Throw him out, kill him. Because if he kills him, throws on the ship. Although I would argue they did extract DNA from bodies that were dead for hundreds of years. Really, what's stopping them from extracting it from a dead?
Where then they just be like, "We'll circle back."
Yeah, just hold on a second. Land. I dropped something. Let me head back. Let me get Sergeant Slaughter's DNA. We'll move on.
Yeah.
But so that's what he's doing. That's why he was getting thrown out of the plane.
Maybe that's why his leadership is in question at the moment.
Thank you, Cobra Commander. You're proving the point. It's almost as if Cobra Commander. It's almost as if you're firing some guy who's investigating you while he's investigating you, Cobra Commander. And to that point, I will say this: even Cobra Commander does not fire Dr. Mindbender upon learning that Dr. Mindbender is creating Serpentor.
It's like, let's just see how this plays out.
Even Cobra Commander is smart enough to say, you know what, it would look really bad if I got rid of Dr. Mindbender while he's creating a new Cobra leader. Yeah, I'm just going to keep him close because I don't want the optics on that. Cobra Commander is smarter than that.
Yeah.
Bump. So, Amber, it's your first episode of G.I. Joe. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to get. It's like I start to get involved in the story, and then what's his name, Dr. Mindbender?
Yeah, codpiece.
It's just that whole thing is very distracting.
Distracts you.
Every time he comes on, you're
makes
like,
you rethink your life choices, right?
One more piece of the puzzle.
Why don't I wear a cape more?
What are these like metal suspenders that cover his nipples?
Right, and are they holding up his pants or just holding his codpiece in place?
Yeah.
Right. Why aren't I wearing a cape more? Why am I bothering you with this shirt right now? Why am I wearing glasses and not a monocle?
Does the cape like latch on? Does he put the suspenders on first and then like click the cape into place?
Right. I think
what's
so.
holding the cape?
It's got to be on the suspenders.
I mean, everything's holding everything up.
Yeah,
so it's a very delicate.
It's the old riddle. Like, why do firefighters wear suspenders?
Oh, I don't even know this.
Oh no. Let me rephrase that. Why do firefighters wear red suspenders?
I don't know.
To hold their pants up. You have to have the modifier of red in there because it makes you think there's a reason.
Yeah, because I was like, hide the fire.
Why does Dr. Mindbender wear metal suspenders?
I mean, I honestly thought it might have something to do with the nipples, but I guess
to cover his nipples. You're absolutely right. Oh my God, you've heard that one before. That's a joke as old as time itself.
Tale as old as time.
Amber, you're such a delight. Thank you for joining us on Joe on Joe.
Absolutely. It is always a pleasure hanging out with you, Joe.
And I can't wait to get together. We're all going to be in a big room. We're going to watch episode 5 together. Everyone's going to have their Serpentor dreams fulfilled.
Yes, this is going to be epic.
It's going to be so much fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Remember, you can find Amber at Amber the Bamber on Instagram and Twitter. Go to Bandcamp and listen to Clamber Standback. We're going to play something right after this conversation is over, so you can hear some of her fat beats, as the kids like to say. And thank you again for listening. Now you Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.
Strap, suspender, slap, splash of insecurity. Easiest to screw it up with a lack of surety. The common turn of phrases, seeing is believing. But the truth of it is that what we see can be deceiving. Cat pens upended pages smacked with incredulity. Attitude misconstrues it up due to undue cruelty. After so many years of it, disappointment seems our duty. Maybe if we stopped seeking it, it wouldn't grow so fruitfully. An optical illusion, there's duality in our analysis. Thoughtful in conclusion is just fueling our paralysis. Artful disillusionment and our doom are not analogous. Garbled on a fusion of our two sides of the same abyss. Whirring into absurdity, currying favor with destruction. Hurrying deferred pity, burying braver deductions. Blurring immaturities, stirring graver obstructions. Spurring disturbed ditty, demurring stage reconstruction. Racking about an interview makes me feel I don't know what to do. Makes me feel my spit turn into glue. Makes me feel suddenly much less than you. Get in the way of my own shoes. I'm a spaz who ain't got much to lose. I'm a passive, this job's such a snooze. Didn't ask, but I'm a touch confused. No more running ragged all up in my brain. Ain't no cunning tactic, just keeps me the same. Gotta be chasing after things that make me swoon. Reach for the moon, finally attuned verbosity. I pursue my curiosity. Gross the sunning and jagged oceans of my shame. Backdoor stunner, hack new levels in the game. My lutz are racing, rafters raise up to the beams. Like as my dreams finally a diffused atrocity. I'm confused my own precocity. No more shunning and nagging notion of my fame. Paint a running gag that brags on my good name. Not to be wasting laughter brings me home too soon. No more cocoon, divine misuse monstrosity. Why not use my own ferocity? Known before, now for my doubt I should abstain. What's the point if I don't believe in my own saying? Plot to be hastened after that which I believe I should receive. Not pomposity to presume my mode what's got to be. Nerve-wracking about an interview makes me feel I don't know what to do. Makes me feel my spit turn into glue. Makes me feel suddenly much less than you.